Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Summer Meyers. I'm a homeschool mom of 6 kids. Yay! If you want to see pictures of new baby, I will have my Instagram linked down below in the description. Pop over, say hey, and admire my child. Admire my child and tell me how beautiful they are. Also, to find out what the new baby's name is. Because I'm not going to tell you because actually, currently, as of this recording, I don't know. My kid's name could be Bookcase for all I know at this point. Okay, my battery died on me. Is everybody okay? We're all here? Take 2. Let's try it again. Today I wanted to talk about handwriting, ways to make it fun, and also to make it successful. Okay, things to consider. I know I harp on this a lot, but hand muscles, man. If your child is very young still, and I'm talking 3, 4, 5, even up into the 6, 7-year-old range, their hands are not completely developed. I know I've shown pictures of this before, but I'm going to throw up on the screen a picture of a 5-year-old's hand, and you can see the bones aren't completely developed yet. And then if you compare that to a 7, 8, 9-year-old, their hands have completely changed. Your child is still growing. Their hands aren't quite strong enough to grip a fine pencil. And so that, we all talk about fine motor skills for little babies, but that continues well into the elementary school years. And when you are doing handwriting, it's important to be conscious and aware of what your child is capable of doing just biologically, just with their actual hands. The best thing you can do is to develop those hand muscles and making them stronger. That's why playing with Play-Doh, that's why painting, that's why maneuvering and manipulating sand. These things really help with handwriting in the long run because you are developing connections with their brain about how their hand moves, manipulates, changes things, changes different mediums. And it is important not to skip out on. Another thing to consider is to not push handwriting for long, extended periods of time. Short, quick spurts, especially in the very beginning when they are developing how letters are shaped on a page. You don't want them to be spending, longer than I would say 10 minutes. Honestly, 5 minutes a day is plenty of practice to get them moving into better handwriting practices. Which leads me to my next point. If you're struggling with handwriting for older years, so not working with the little 5-year-olds, closer to 9 and 10, there's some time just before middle school, I feel like, where everybody's handwriting just takes a dive. Like, what happened? You used to write so beautifully. For that, I would also encourage you to move into typing and practicing those typing skills. It gives them an opportunity to speed write. So sometimes handwriting is so arduous because it takes them so long to form simple sentences and words and whatever, because they're thinking about spelling, they're thinking about letter formation, they're thinking about going up versus down, and where do you start? If they can type, then they aren't held back by that. So even if your handwriting is struggling, that does not mean you just go full throttle on just handwriting. Give them opportunities to practice writing with typing it out. One last thing to consider is do not combine handwriting, spelling, and writing. Those are 3 different things. Yes, they're all interconnected, but if you are concentrating on spelling right then, that's your lesson, you're doing you got a spelling word list, do not correct them on their handwriting while they're doing spelling. If you're doing writing, a writing lesson where they are writing out a paper and their prose is beautiful and everything is perfect and they have a clear beginning, middle, and end, but their handwriting, do not fret about it. Do not correct it. You say, wow, you wrote this so well, and you let it go. The same thing with handwriting. If they're handwriting and they're practicing that, actively practicing it, you don't worry about their spelling. You say, oh, you got cat wrong. No. They're practicing forming this letter C, A, and T, and that's totally fine. Even if they add an E at the end or whatever. I mean, that's a terrible example. But if they are doing handwriting, do not correct their spelling at that time. If they are doing handwriting, do not critique their writing style. Separate them out. Eventually, those skills will blend together. Focus on that one skill and get it to a place where you feel comfortable and confident. And they'll get there, mama. I mean, they're not going to be doing handwriting practice 7th and 8th grade. I don't know. Some moms do that. I mean, maybe they'll do that. The goal here is to improve handwriting. Worry about the other things at a different time. All right, so those are the things to consider. Let's go to practical tips. What are some actual things that you can do while you are trying to help move and groove with handwriting? Pencil grips. Pencil grips are some of my kids' favorite ways of improving their handwriting. And I know that sounds strange, but there are so many cute pencil grips out there, guys, with cute little animals, and they're squishy and they're fun. And my kids love getting those out and picking out the ones that work well with their pencil or whatever. I have an entire peanut butter jar just filled with different types of pencil grips, and they're set up into a couple of different ways, and my kids pick the ones that fit naturally in their hand, and it encourages them to hold their pencil the correct way. I'll have those linked down below. Give them a chance to write in other mediums beyond just pencil and pen. Have them practice using it with markers, with paint, using their finger paint, going through the sand. I mean, there's so many different ways of exploring the way letters look and encouraging them to come up with their own writing style, especially for the older years. I mean, that was like one of the biggest things when I was in 6th grade was like, look how pretty I write my letters. And I also put a heart on top of the I because, you know, it was the 90s and that's what we did. Giving them a chance to explore how their letters are formed with crayons, with markers, gives them a new way of holding the grip. Also like those big fat markers too, and practicing how those form. I think the best advice that I ever was given when it came to handwriting was I was really struggling with number 2. I think it was my second child, and no, might have been my first. Doesn't matter. One of my kids was really struggling with starting from the top with print. Most print letters, you start from the top, you drop down, pick up the pencil and move on to the next part of the letter or whatever. The best advice I ever got was somebody telling me, just move on to script. Just move on to cursive handwriting. And that will help because most cursive letters are from the bottom up. So you start your B starting down and then up and then, I mean, I'm doing it backwards for the camera. The point being that most kids tend to have a trouble starting from the top of the letter. They want to start at the bottom. And if that is the case for you, I would maybe set aside print for a while and move on to cursive. And I know that's a skill that most people don't think about tackling until 3rd grade. Which is totally fine. But don't hold your kid back from starting cursive if they're really struggling with getting that top to bottom for print. Make sure you're using the appropriate spacing for words. When I was first practicing with handwriting, I wasn't really thinking about, oh, they're using a regular notebook with really thin college ruled lines that are rather thin. And so they were struggling trying to get them in there properly or whatever. And it wasn't until I had like a, oh, duh moment. These kids should probably use things that are much better spaced. So I'll have some link down in the description box below for paper that is properly spaced for, I would say, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I mean, if your kid is really working on their handwriting, you want those lines to be very spaced. You want the dotted line in the middle so they know where they're supposed to put the letters and where they sort of fit in the middle. That being said, if your child is still learning letters, you might not even want to do regular ruled paper. I just use my whiteboard and whiteboard marker with my early reader, and she practices out the letters on one big whiteboard, and she makes it as big as she can. And the focus primarily being, we're going to start from the top to the bottom, and this is what the letter looks like, and this is how we shape it. We're going to practice writing our name. We're going to just write silly words. We're not going to even really worry about what we're spelling. The main focus being, we're just focusing on the formation of one letter. And as they are forming more words and they need more structure, that's when you go to the bigger spaced paper. I think one of the biggest benefits to practicing handwriting, to making it fun, was sketchbooks. I got one of my struggling handwriters a sketchbook and I said, I just want you to draw. And I didn't even mention handwriting. I just wanted her to be practicing holding a pencil and drawing out things she saw, and she loved it and worked on it, and naturally actually evolved into adding words and phrases and things that meant something to her, as well as small poems. And it was beautiful because it just happened naturally. On top of that, I also gave all of my kids journals. Some of them have one blank space so they can illustrate what they did that day, as well as line spaces where they can write down what they did that day. And I don't look at it. I don't check it. I don't check it for handwriting or anything. The point being is just getting them writing and writing for themselves and becoming proud of what they have created and written about. And that has been a tremendous help, I think. So those are some of the things that I do to make handwriting more fun. I hope that was helpful. If it was, like, subscribe. Tell me down below, what are some handwriting tips that you guys have that made it more easy, more fun in your home? I would love to hear it. Take it easy, everybody. Bye. I just keep going like this. I need to enunciate. Okay, try it again.